Good morning and welcome to Reuzel Live. Today is Monday, June 26, 2023. My name is Nicholas Giberson with Reuzel Education, and today we have a very special presentation all the way from Wichita, Kansas. Bailey Russell. Take away, Bailey.
Hello, everybody. Good Monday. Welcome. Good morning. Good afternoon, depending on where you're from. I'm glad you're here with us today. I'm here today with my friend Chris. We're going to show you a little bit of a bald fade pompadour. This is a nice symmetrical haircut. I don't have to worry about any sort of side parts that are different on one side versus the other. So this is a very symmetrical haircut. I do want to focus on a lot of styling and stuff like that today. But as I go along, please ask any questions. I'll repeat myself. You guys just chime in and let me know. Again, I'm Bailey. I'm from Wichita, Kansas. I'm a Scumbassador here. Been with Reuzel for 5 years and I've been loving it. And little side note, my sister just had her baby boy about an hour ago. Didn't know what to name him, likes L names. I suggested Lean, and I think that one might stick. So Lean, if you're getting to see this, you're gonna have a little American baby boy named after you, I hope. So it was better than clay. I was thinking clay pomade. I'm in the Reuzel mode. So welcome, and here we are. I am starting out this morning with this haircut, as we always do. We make sure to look at the different hair patterns, hair growth whorls, calyx in the front, paying attention to bone structure, mastoids, anything that could give us a surprise during this haircut. Luckily, his hair is very cooperative. It's very, very thick. I am gonna have it pretty easy today, but that is the first thing that we do assess. We make sure that we look at growth pattern, because here at Reuzel, we do have different zones that we follow to stay organized. These zones reference, zone 4 is on the top. That's about the apex to the front of the hairline. Zone 3 is a transition area that goes right above the parietal ridge up to zone 4. Zone 2 is where the recession goes all the way from the sides to the center back in the crown area. And then zone 1 is basically the nape area between the mastoids and down. So I am going to reference those zones so that we can all stay together. So if you have any questions or need me to repeat myself, just let me know. Wetting his hair down. I've got a little bit of the blue tonic in my bottle right now, and it's going to help me stay organized throughout the haircut, help with sectioning. It's going to keep a little bit of shine and break up any previous pomade or products that we've had, that he's had in his hair. I always like to use a little bit of this. It smells good as well. It helps with keeping the hair a little bit more damp and moisturized. And if you want, you can use some grooming tonic too, because that's really great for sectioning. So, the first thing I did was I grabbed a lighter comb because his hair is a little bit darker. I am much better able to see my sections, my guides, anything like that as I'm working through the haircut. So if you've got a client that also has lighter hair, use a darker comb. That is number one. It makes it a lot easier. So here we go. Combing all the hair back, and I'm going to start up here at the very top. I'm actually going to take my comb. I'm going to start at this top of the recession. I'm going to work all the way back to the center back. This is right in zone 3. And that way I can get all of this long hair out of the way, push that over so I can work on this side. I am a left-handed person, so I'm starting on my right side over here. And if you guys need me to move around, let me know. Again, welcome. We're Reuzel Live. We're here this morning. I'm Bailey, and we really appreciate you being with us here today. So, first section. Goes from the top of the recession, and I'm going all the way back to the center back and pushing that longer hair out of the way. This is going to allow me to work right at the parietal ridge in zone 2 and create a nice baseline. So let's start with that. The baseline going to be my guide to the length that I'd like. It's going to be the foundation that connects the top. So let's start with that. So now the hair's combed down, I'm going to take my comb and assess where the hair starts to bend a little bit. When you comb all the way up at about a 90 degree, pull that out from your primary sectioning at the top here. And I can see that it starts to kind of bend a little bit out, about 3 inches out, which is good. That means I'm actually going to go a little bit shorter and not run into any issues. So take your comb, make sure you're standing directly in front of your section and your area that you're working on. You want to stay nice and square because anytime you drop your elbows or move around, you're going to end up over directing and having kind of an uneven cut. So I'm scooping up all the hair I can, starting right above the ear, combing directly out, keeping my comb at a 90 degree angle from the head. Grab your clippers. I've got them shut all the way down. I don't have any guards. Coming up and out, I'm going to place my clippers directly flat onto my comb and work back. Comb that down. Let's assess if we like the length here, and I think that's looking pretty good. It's a little bit long. So again, coming straight up to create that baseline, 90 degrees. I'm going to go a little bit shorter. Make sure your clipper is flat to your comb. All right, I like that. That's going to be the length that we're going for. So I'm going to continue to work forward and then backwards in this section. So coming up towards the front, 90 degrees, flat to my comb, and we're taking off that front section. There it is right there. And this, again, this creates the baseline. The baseline is going to create a nice area. It's going to allow me to have a space to cut to as well as create a nice square shape. Now, I'm going to continue to follow my primary parting. And this, now we're going to be working backwards. So make sure that you really are truly keeping your comb parallel to that parting. It's very easy to kind of over direct in that corner. So keep it parallel. Here we go, scooping this up. Working my way back. All the way center back. You'll have some hair that drops out underneath your comb. That's completely fine. We're gonna go back and continue to work this baseline down and create a nice square shape on this side. All right, that is looking pretty good. So the next step, I'm gonna do the same thing except for I'm going to go directly under. I'm gonna find my guide, which is the previous baseline that I just created, lift it up, identify that, and then continue to work in panels down from front to side. I can see my baseline right there. Scoop that hair up, find that baseline. Again, doing the same thing, and we're gonna work systematically from one side to the other. So just continue following this baseline, it's real fun. And again, using my white comb, I'm really able to see what I'm working with, where I'm working, and to stay organized with the hair. Now, towards the back, I'm going to taper my comb in. I'm going to turn it in just a little bit. That way I kind of get a little bit tighter as I work down, but you do not have to do that. That's just for his hair today. Again, scooping all the way up. Working towards the front and continuing to the back. The baseline is very essential to all of our signature haircuts because this not only determines the shape, the length, but it also gives us somewhere to go and connect each section of the hair and connect the design. That way I'm not just cutting directly up and not knowing where I'm going. I've got something that I'm going to and need to connect to, which is that baseline. And I'm not just cutting up into space, so to speak. And I'm just going to continue to follow this down. We like to remind everybody this isn't the only way, it's not even the right way, it's the Reuzel way. This is how we start most of our haircuts. And I like to quote Picasso. Picasso has this wonderful quote that says, you need to learn the fundamentals like a pro so you can break them like an artist. And I'm a big believer in that because once you learn these fundamentals and learn how to create a great shape, then you can customize it. And that's what makes you uniquely you as a barber or a hairstylist. So as you can see, I'm running out of hair up here, so I'm just scooping the hair from below, going at 90 degrees, and I'm not having a lot of hair fall out, so I'm just kind of cleaning this up and keeping my comb exactly parallel always to that part line, even down here. Okay, so now we've got a really nice shape here. Let me see if I can turn them so you can see. There we are. It's a nice white background. If you guys can see, the baseline is about here in zone 2. I'm following it down, creates a nice square shape. I'm taking off most of the length and creating the design currently. Once I get them dry, I'll go back in and do some fine tuning and we'll talk about those techniques as well. And again, welcome. Good morning. It's a nice Monday. It's going to be a great day, and I'm so appreciative that everyone's here with us today. Keep that hair saturated. His hair's got a lot of volume, so it tends to pop out a little bit. So I'm going to keep that down a little bit with some of my water and blue tonic. So here we go. Right? I'm actually going to, before I pop any sort of guards onto my clippers, I'm going to move to the other side to create a baseline there, pop the guards on the clippers and fine tune around zone 1 and 2. Let's see, again, I'm finding the top of the recession. I am making a primary parting. On the opposite side that goes center back. So a little bit under the crown in zone 2 is where I am making that primary parting. Let's see if I can spin it this way real quick. Here we go. Can we see? There we are. Perfect. I'm going to repeat. So I'm going to start right above the ear. Comb all of this up with my barber comb. Keeping my comb at 90 degrees, pulling it out parallel to the section. and working my way forward. It's a little bit long, so let's pull this up again. Take a little bit more off. And again, this is going to be the same length as the previous side I just cut because he doesn't have a primary part like some of the other haircuts we do. This is very symmetrical, so we've got to keep it even. And I'm going to work my way forward, grabbing that comb, pulling that up. I'm following my guide of the previous cut that I just did, working forward. And continuing to follow to the back. Again, remember not to over direct your comb in that transition area above the mastoids. That's very easy to do. And all that takes is just a little repetition and practice. So as you can see, this is where it connects with the other side. The reason we work with this primary sectioning from the recession and back to create the baseline is also because we don't want to cut this too square. We don't want to take our clippers and just go up in this section of the head because it's not flat back here. We want to really, really make sure that we're maintaining a nice shape that works with his natural, the natural shape of his hair and his head. And then his hair will lay a little bit better and cooperate a lot better. So again, taking my comb, I'm going to lift this up and try to find this baseline here. That is my guide. Comb at 90 degrees. Working forward. Okay. Continue in zone 2 until you get to the center back. Try to stay square in front of your section that you're working on. All right. Now I'm going to start slightly tapering my comb in just a little bit, just to take a little bit more length off the bottom, even though I'm going back in and using my guards very soon. Are there any questions so far? Any questions for me? Are you guys keeping up with the sectioning, with the parting, with the reasons for doing so? Just let me know if you have any questions at all. All right. So now, as you can see, we've connected the back. The baseline is connected in the center back, and I'm going to use this as my guide, basically, and design the start of the design this entire time. He kind of looks like he's got hockey hair right now. If he looks like he's got hockey hair, you're doing it right. So I'm going to push him back over here. We often do not use any guards that are over a 2. So I'm popped a 2 on my clippers here. We're getting a little tangled up. I apologize. We don't need the blow dryer yet, though. All right, just pulling this hair back, combing, getting it out of the way so I can work on the right side. His hair is a little dry, so I keep having to put a little bit more tonic in there. It's worth it. Take a beat, grab your product, and reorganize yourself as you're cutting through hair because you definitely don't want to lose your spot. All right, I've identified that baseline. There it is. All right, grabbing my clippers. And I'm going to start right here above the ear again on the whitest part of the head. And I'm just going to work my way up, making sure that when I do, my clippers are coming up and out. That way I'm not cutting into that baseline that I have just created. We don't want to round that off. So make a shape that goes up and out, and then we can fine tune it afterwards while it's dry. So here we go. This is a 2. Working forward, I'm gonna keep a little bit of a high contrast right here because it looks, I don't know, he's edgy, he's a musician. We're gonna keep it a little bit more fun, not so long around the bottom of zone 2. So I'm just coming up, working toward, at the front, moving back, staying parallel to that primary sectioning. I'm not turning my clippers up, I'm keeping it directly parallel. All right, can you guys see that? Number 2, work my way up to the baseline. I'm gonna keep this a little bit bulkier right now. I'll go in and use my blending shears to blend that line. Now I'm gonna grab a 1.5. These over here. Grabbing a 1.5, popping this on my clippers, and I'm going to then go right back under that baseline that I've just created, work my way up to the guide of the number 2. We all know how this part goes. Then it's a 1, then it's a 0.5, and we've got a nice blend. I'm actually left-handed and had to learn to cut right-handed. So if you see me switch my shears or my clippers around from hand to hand, it's because left-handed people are ambidextrous and magical, and it's super fun. But that is it. I'm not, I'm not stuck. It's not that I can't use both or use just this hand. I actually do switch my hands up. So to answer that question, I blow dry like that, and I can cut with shears like that, but I mainly cut right-handed because they didn't have left-handed shears, and I'm impatient and wanted to learn. So I'm left-handed, but I'm gonna switch my tools around a little bit. So I'm grabbing the 1, again, starting right by the ear. Fold that down, make sure that you're getting some of this hair that grows backwards. Work your way front. Rocking my clippers up and out so that I don't cut into that baseline and round off that nice square shape right there. And I'm going to continue all the way back. And I like to listen to the hair cutting because I think that we can trust our ears more than our eyes in some cases. Okay, run out of some hair to cut there. And last but not least, I'm putting on the 0.5 guard and tapering the rest of the hairline down to zone 1. I'm going to open that up a little bit just to blend. All right, there we go. Can everyone see that? Perfect. Now again, I'm going to hop on over to the other side and do the exact same thing. So let's comb this hair out of the way. In order to do that, I'm going to comb it back and then push it to the opposite side. Grooming tonic is a wonderful product to use for even longer hair. I feel like I use that more when I'm doing a shorter haircut on somebody that walks in with long hair, because it actually has a little bit of hold and it keeps some of the hair that's in zone 3 and 4 out of the way, because if I can avoid using clips on my male patrons, I do. And this tends to work almost every single time. So combing this down, I need a little bit more water. So that doesn't fall down while I'm working on this side. And I've identified my baseline, and let's repeat that on this side. It's gonna have to come up and over you, I'm sorry. All right, so here's my number 2 clipper guard. I've got my clippers closed. I'm starting right by the ear, working my way up. We like to start above the ear when it comes to combing and creating a baseline, because this is the widest part on the head, and it's a lot quicker. It creates a nice square shape at the widest part, so you have something to visually follow. Rocking up and out with my clippers, moving to the front. I'm turning my clippers just ever so slightly here and there, just because everyone's hair grows a little bit different. Our growth patterns are different than anyone else's. So obviously keep rocking up and out, but definitely turn if you need to, in order to cut some of those pieces that are growing either back or forward. And typically that does happen right around the ear because of the bone structure change and the transition of the head shape. Okay, I'm gonna grab my 1.5 guard. And continue cutting the same, right by here, working my way back, parallel to the baseline section, or the baseline, and then also the primary section that we originally started with. And this is to create a square shape. It gives me a visual to cut to as well. And this part is just tapering a little bit tighter underneath, and that's just the design that we chose. You could do this with your shears. You could do this with diagonal sections. But today, since we're doing a little bit tighter down here at the bottom, just going to keep it with the clippers today.
Hey, Bailey, just jumping in real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to let you know we have viewers from the U.S., Canada, Laos, Guatemala, and Myanmar.
Welcome, everybody. Oh, my gosh. The whole world is watching. No pressure. Welcome, friends. I'm glad you're here this morning. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that you're spending your morning with us. just popped on my 0.5 and I am just slowly blending up to that section previous. And you guys know how to do this. Taper a nice fade. Here in Kansas, we've been having our tornado sirens go off probably, I'd say, once a week for the past few weeks. And, you know, of course, the first thing us Kansas do for safety is run outside because we'd like to see if there's really a tornado. But to be honest, it's been happening on Mondays and Tuesdays, so I'm very glad that we didn't get interrupted with any sort of weather on my end. Which, to be honest with you, probably wouldn't stop us from coming in, would it?
No.
Yeah, not at all. All right. Grabbing my cutting comb. Again, I'm pushing the hair back just to get it out of the way. I really, really like this shape and this length. It's a little bit heavy. It's got some weight right here. I really like a nice color change specifically on him. And so I will go in and soften this just a little bit, but we're not going to do the detailing until we get it dry. If you're just tuning in, we created a baseline, worked my way up to the baseline from center, front, and back. And now I'm just going to work around the hairline and in zone 1 just to clean it up real fast before we start transitioning from top to bottom. Something I'd like to point out, and it's just a very, very small detail, but always take the time to kind of wipe off the hair, especially when you're tapering or doing a bald fade or a razor fade, because around this time of year, especially in the summer, and I think this is the case for most places, it gets a little bit stickier and a little bit more humid, and I think that it can be deceiving if you've got some hairs that are sticking to the skin. So never worry about it. Take a minute, comb that down so you can really see a visual of what's still connected and what's not. Plus, it's more comfortable for your patron. All right, there we go. And I'm quickly going to do this side, just like I did this side. I'm not going to turn him just because we're working with a little bit of a trap over here. We're getting all tangled up. So I'm just going up and over the ears, following his natural hairline, not cutting in too high or too low. We don't want a white wall around the ears. And always push those ears down if you need to. Okay. So now I would like to transition from the sides to the top. This is one of my, I think, some of the most valuable information when it comes to cutting hair, short hair, men's hair, women's hair. What we're going to do is I'm going to take a section that goes from the recession back to the apex, and this is going to actually kind of take a little bit of a triangle and keep this long hair out of the way so that I don't cut it too short, and I can still start with the back and the other sides, keep this out of the way, stay organized. It's a little bit long, so I'm going to grab this and just kind of show you with my hands, but then push it out of the way. And you know what? I might use a clip on him just so you guys can have a better visual. Can I look down real quick? Okay, this is zone 4. This is around the hairline, and I'm actually going to twist this and get out of the way. Can you guys see this? Chris, can you look down a little bit more? You see how that kind of creates a nice little triangle? That is, again, to stay organized. Let's keep this out of the way. And I should mention, and I absolutely didn't, not quite yet, but the whole purpose is that we are going to take, I'm going to connect this length, I'm going to take this down a little bit, establish a length, and we're going to connect from the front to the back, a nice angled line there. It's going to be a little bit more exaggerated. I wanted to do a really fun pomp that was a little bit more avant-garde because he fits the mold for it. It's pretty cool. All right. With that out of the way, I'm going to go to the top of the apex, and I'm going to section from the top of the apex down to the back of the ear. Push that forward. He's got a lot of volume, so I'm really combing and watching how this behaves. It does go up and out a lot, especially around here. Not even because of his whirl or how his hair grows, just simply because he's got very dense hair. It's more fine, so it pops up a little bit. And if you're working with grooming tonic in your water bottle, please pay attention to that, because grooming tonic, as it dries, can expand and give body and volume to the hair. So just keep it damp. And just keep that in mind, because it will pop up a lot more and give you volume. And that is so that you don't have to rely on a blow dryer at home. So I've got this pushed out of the way from the apex down. So if you're looking at a quadrant from the top of the head, it's basically the two sections that are in front of the ear pushed forward. And we are going to work on zone 4 and then connect down to the center back in zone 2. I'm going to pull this out. Let's see if you can see this. All right. My guide is right here. And just to get a little bit of length off of there, I'm actually going to pull this out really fast. And it's going to be directly 90 degree out. I've got my section right under there, and I'm just going to get rid of this corner here, because then my guide will be right here at the apex and we'll connect it to the top. That's where we're going with that. So take a vertical section from the apex down to the center back where your guide is. Mine's a little bit lower. I dropped it a little bit more. Take a nice clean section. Cut down to the guide. And you're going to continue taking some vertical sections, more with a traveling guide. I don't want to over direct his hair too much to that center section, because I don't want the outside, or I don't want these areas to be too long. So I'm going to grab another vertical section, following my comb with my finger, so I get a nice clean section over here. There we are. Combing this straight out. I said clean section, there it is. Okay, combing this straight out at 90 degrees. I'm combing it to where it's straight, but I'm not actually using a lot of tension. I'm not stretching the hair or anything like that. And this is just to get off a little bit of length right here, and to connect the back to eventually the top. Okay, I'm running out of hair, so I'm just going to pull this over, get rid of some of that length. Now, going to cross-check that and do a horizontal, bring down these sections horizontally. We'll get to that in just a second. I'm going to do a little bit of cross-checking here, make sure everything's nice and even. So far, it looks pretty good. Now take that whole panel of hair, and Again, my baseline goes from here. The start of the baseline is in the back. It connects at the center. I'm going to pull this down and make sure everything's nice and even. It's got my baseline here. There's my guide. Pulling it back. Doing the same right there, and I'm going to continue around. Now, you don't want to drop that down too much because you're going to create a really hard line. So if anything, keep it completely 90 degrees from the back or from the head shape. And if you would like to elevate, I elevate now and then ever so slightly with really thick hair like this, because a little bit more elevation, a little bit of point cutting is just going to create a little bit of softness back there for blending. So anyway, there we are. So now I'm moving into this front area, which is zone 3 and zone 2. And I don't need a whole bunch of sectioning, but I'm going to do some, so this little section here is going to have a couple horizontal sections. And I'm pulling the horizontal sections to my guide at 90 degrees. So I'm not going to leave it here and then cut it there because it's going to create too much of a weight line. So grabbing this out, this is going to seamlessly connect, see that beautifully with the baseline there. I'm going to move forward, and if you would like to, you can over direct this section in the front a little bit out towards the hairline so that you can reserve some of that length. I'm pretty happy with the length that I've got there, so I'm not doing too much over directing. Okay, there we go. And I'm just going to drop the rest of this section down, and I'm doing the same. I'm repeating. I'm connecting this area with the baseline. You can see that is my guideline right under there. We'll have to color your hair again. And work your way forward. Zone 3 is coming down to connect to the baseline. Fingers at 90 degrees. Again, I'm holding it out a little bit at 90 degrees and not down. You'll create too much of a weight line there. And this is connecting to the baseline. Now let's do this on the other side. So horizontal section. I'm going to push that hair up and over to get it out of the way. As you can see, grab that section horizontally, elevate that at 90 degrees from the head shape, and connect this with your baseline, being very careful not to cut into your baseline. And I really recommend, it's one thing to watch these videos. It's another thing to actually go through these steps. And I highly recommend just getting a mannequin and, doing longer versions of this haircut just for the sake of doing these techniques and getting used to the muscle memory. And, cutting it shorter and shorter each time, because for me, it was one thing to watch, it was another to actually start practicing and repeating these haircuts. But this is how we start all of our haircuts. The design is up to you, so your variation is definitely up to your own creativity, whether we're talking about length. So these are the fundamental steps that we all take, and every single time we follow these, it creates a beautiful square shape. It creates a more organized way for us personally to look at these haircuts and to get through the haircuts. And I absolutely love cutting like this. So here we are, right? Now this here, we're going to connect to the back, but I am going to actually establish the length of this front piece just really quickly because it's a little bit long. All right, I'm just gonna cut a little bit of this length off so I can easily work with it. Okay, so comb that forward. Let's grab this hair here and just get a visual of where we're working to. It's gonna be about right here. So we have to follow the line and connect the front to the back. Combing this forward so I can get a vertical section. I'm actually going to take a vertical section from the apex to the front of the hairline here, and make sure when you're combing that section up that you're going directly up. I'm not directing this towards the front because his hairline drops down like everybody else's. Going completely up, cutting some of this down, following this guide. I'm going to continue this vertical sectioning to the back. Let me recomb. There it is. And I think we're looking good. Yep. And I'm going to continue doing that in these sections to connect the top angle up here to the back. And then we'll work from side to side. So again, I'm going to take another kind of a pie section from the apex down. I'm going to slightly over direct to that center section, just barely, so I can see it as my guide. Comb that all the way directly up. Find your length. And continue to follow that vertical section all the way to the established guide that we have created back at the crown. I think I've got one more over here, scoop it up nicely. There's my guide. It's kind of nice here. The blonde that's left in your hair is exactly what I'm cutting off, so it's really easy to see.
Tracing.
I know it is. It's cheating. All right. Let me hop over here and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm lifting up in vertical, slightly pie sections, lifting this up, finding the guideline that I've created and established at the very front that's going to connect to the back, lifting this up. That looks good. Let's see. Okay. There's not much mini sections left over here, so I'm just kind of scooping up the rest of the hair just to make sure. And there's the corner. Dusting that off real quick. Perfect. With us, I really appreciate it. Now let's make sure we're taking off some of the bulk in the corners of the very front of the long hair of the pompadour that's going to go back. So again, I'm going to take from recession to center back. I'm going to resection. Here we go. Chris, can you look down again? So again, this is the corner recession back. All right. This is the cool hair. This is the long hair. I'm gonna comb this forward so I can get through the hair a little bit easier. I look on up, perfect. So from the apex down to the front, I'm gonna take from your guys' view vertical sectioning, and then I'm going to comb it in its natural lay. So I'm not going to force it to, I'm not going to force it down or comb it with too much tension. I'm going to comb it and connect the front piece or the side baseline to the front piece. And this time I am slightly going to over direct to leave a little bit of the length in the front. And continue to do that. So another vertical section, add that into your baseline. I'm still holding at a 90 elevation so that I'm not dropping it too much, creating too much weight. And now the baseline doesn't exist up here, so I'm using my eyeballs to connect that guide to the very front. Just to see if anything actually makes it over here, pull the rest of your section over and dust off that little bit. Continue to do the same thing on the other side, guys. It's a lot of repeating, it's a lot of fundamentals, and you can count on this every single time. So again, I'm doing like a vertical section. I'm bringing the rest of the area in the front that's at the front of the hairline over. I'm over directing. This side actually has a lot more length to take off. And I'm only going to get about 2 sections. So I'm just going to scoop that, bring it over to the initial baseline, over direct slightly, and cut that off in the very front. Now we've got a nice shape. This is kind of the fundamental pompadour that I tapered in a little bit. It's not a razor, necessarily a bald fade, but it's pretty close down here. That's just his design that we're going with today. I'm gonna comb this back. All right, so I'm actually gonna dry it now, and this is very important because you wanna make sure you dry the hair as best as you can so that you can do the fine tuning, the editing. You're gonna be able to use your blending shears to blend up this baseline a little bit too. So I'm gonna add a bit of grooming tonic to his hair, and we'll start from there. Grooming tonic, this is my favorite product that Reuzel makes. Fill your palm up with that product, and I'm gonna take that and work it through all of his hair. Make sure you're getting the sides as well. It's got a little bit of shine, just a tiny bit of shine, and you definitely want even the short pieces on the side to have the same finish. So we're working it forward, making sure that is nice and saturated. Grooming tonic also is a scalp treatment. It's really good, almost like a daily leave-in treatment for your hair. It's got witch hazel, rosemary, horsetail root, all of these things for strength, shine, mobility, and a little bit of hold, about enough to kind of break the wind for you, so wind resistant. All right, pushing this back, it's looking good, spreading the grooming tonic, and let's start with the blow drying. Today I am using a vent brush. Grab the blow dryer. We always work back to the front, and that is so we're not laying, dry hair on wet hair. So I'm gonna work from the back. I don't want a lot of volume here, so I'm actually going to take my blow dryer, set that on top of his head, not pointing at him. We don't want to burn him, and that's going to control a little bit of that volume. get towards the front, I'm going to start grabbing the hair, kind of scratching it forward a little bit and creating a little bit of volume. That's going to create your pompadour, and it's going to be so easy with the grooming tonic. So incorporate the side. Forward. You guys see how much volume you're able to get using that grooming tonic. Not all of your patrons need to have a blow dryer to create this look. The grooming tonic, as it dries, plumps up the hair, lifts it up a little bit, and creates that for them. So definitely instruct them, hey, if you want your hair to, if you want to recreate this look at home, make sure you grab the grooming tonic, put that in your hair, comb it the way you'd like it to. As it dries, it'll expand and give you a little bit of volume. So now here we are. I've got this nice shape. I've blow dried the grooming tonic into it. I'm going to quickly just detail it. I'm going to grab my blending shears and start again on the largest portion of the hair, right by the head, right by the ear, and I'm going to barely take my blending shears, do a little shear over comb action. I'm going straight directly up. I'm not rounding into the shape I created. Just to soften that up a bit.
Hey, Bailey.
Yes.
Haircut's looking great. Love the volume. We've got a couple of product suggestions from some viewers watching at home.
Yeah.
We've got pink and blue cocktails. We've got concrete and green. We've got a little bit of fiber gel and matte styling paste. All great suggestions from our viewers watching. Of course, no wrong answers. Love it.
No wrong answers. Now, what did you say? Somebody cocktailed the green and what now?
Concrete. It's a favorite amongst the viewers.
The concrete. Okay, gotcha. That's not a bad idea. What I'm going to do, actually, instead of using the concrete on him, I might use something that's more the water soluble, like one of the reds or blues, and it's only because my concrete is kind of dried out. Somebody left it out last night. Otherwise, I agree. We'll use concrete because that's a water-soluble product. Put that on first, overlap it with the green for a little bit of shine and medium hold. Plus, like I said, it's humid here. We're having tornadoes. It's raining constantly. We're not used to humidity here. So I'm going to finish with the green. Thank you for that suggestion. That's one of my favorite products. And that's going to go on top and kind of seal in the previous red or blue pomade, the water soluble one, and repel any sort of like moisture in the air. So that's going to be very helpful. Plus, I just love the green. That's my favorite one.
We just got a fun comment from Tiffany Blumenshine that says his girlfriend would like to see green.
Would like the what?
She'd like to see green.
Hey, girlfriend. All right. So that basically just took a little bit of the weight out, and I'm really liking how that looks. So let's go ahead and grab the pomade that we're needing. And I'm literally just kind of taking a little bit of that weight out. So here we go. I'm going to take a bit of the red, about 2 knuckles, emulsify in your hands. Make sure that it's nice and even in your hands. If it's globby, that's how it translates to the hair. This is something I highly recommend you're talking to your clients or patrons about. Hey, I'm going to use the red. This is why. It's water soluble. It's easy. It's a nice hold, medium shine. Work that in through the back, all the way to the top and to the front, focusing on the roots. You don't want to add any heavy product just to the top because it's going to fall down. It's not going to be able to hold itself up. We're also, we use our products dry most of the time. I know you can kind of break the rules, get your own tips and tricks as we do, but I'm sticking with the fundamentals. We're doing the red, working it way forward to the front. The red is water soluble. It'll be easy to rinse out. I'm very sorry to the person who suggested awesome concrete in green. That's my favorite too. My concrete dried out overnight, so I'm not going to use that. Grab your comb. Grab any sort of wide tooth comb you need. Okay? I'm going to comb this in just to distribute this evenly. Again, starting from the back, working my way forward. And let's use a lot of green, yeah? Like, let's kind of make it like real heavy greaser look today. So I just combed that in with the red, the water soluble. Now I'm going to take the green, and I'm going to take about 3 knuckles actually. I love the green because the viscosity is very soft. It's very easy to work with, but it's got medium to strong hold. It's a greaser base, so it's not water soluble. It's got the beeswax in it. And doing the same thing, emulsifying, looking at my hands. Hey, sir, please use this on your hands, emulsify well. Apply it from the back, work it in, focusing on your roots. All the way to the front. This is going to seal in the water-soluble product and repel the humidity that we're having here. And I take the residual always, and I go over the top, go over the sides, all the way down to the hairline so that everything has a nice finish. And I even like to take the green, especially the green, and kind of work this down a little bit too. I like to use the green for beards, really big, long beards, so. And here we go. We're going to comb this in. Thank you all so much for being here with us today. I hope you have a very happy Monday. So far, it's been wonderful. I'm not sure what my time is because I could talk forever, but combing this back in from the back forward, and you want to incorporate that baseline. Again, he doesn't have a dominant part. It's a symmetrical haircut. So I'm going to take my comb and follow the shape of the head and comb the sides of the baseline up into the top of the haircut and incorporate it evenly and symmetrically on both sides. Get yourself a $2 comb like this. These are great. I did want to mention that you could blow dry with a Denman as well. We use Denman and vent brushes a lot. The only reason I rarely ever choose to use a Denman is because I'm kind of a fast and very aggressive blow dryer, and I like the vent brush because it's a little bit softer. There we go. He's got a lot of hair and it's a little dry, so I'm really working this in before I start pumping that up. So now that's combed back. This is a great look. It's a versatile haircut, but let's raise this up a tiny, tiny bit. I, believe it or not, need a little bit more of the green at the very root in the front. And if you've got the powder too, this is a wonderful matte texture powder. I like to use the grease. Sometimes he's got dark hair like me. It can look a little bit shiny. And it's also hot. It's summer. Powder absorbs any sort of like perspiration or oil, but it also make it more matte. So I can get the function of those two products, but also add this on top a little bit to the root and just kind of tap that everywhere. And it's going to give me a little bit more lift and a little bit more of a matte finish. You can take your comb, slide this directly into the hair right here, kind of pull it forward if you'd like, create a nice shape. You could even, for somebody that has a little bit more of a thinner hairline up here, after you use that powder, slide your clone, I watched Star Wars this morning, do little circles, and you can kind of pull that out too, and that'll create a little bit of bulk there in the front and almost plump it up and make it look a little bit fuller. Is there any questions about the product application, the blow dry, the haircut? Because I think we are getting to the point where this is looking pretty good.
No questions. Just lots of love. Lots of thank you for sharing the information.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'm glad that you hung out with us. I've seriously got a great model. I think that makes these videos even more fun to watch. Just because, I mean, you know, Chris wears this haircut all the time. It works really well for him. And he constantly gets, where do you get your haircut? Who do you go to? You guys, like, it's very, very timeless. It grows out beautifully. And here we go. Hopefully you guys can see that shape right there.
That looks good, Bailey. Give him a spin. Let's see what you got.
Ooh, here we go.
Look at that. Great shape.
Yep. Perfect.
Okay. All right, cool.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate
Thank you
tuning
from
in.
all of us. Thank you from all of us at Reuzel. Thank you, Bailey. What a wonderful presentation. Be sure to hang out with us and tune in on July 10th for our next Reuzel Live presentation, all the way from Providence, Rhode Island. We'll have Scumbassador Stephanie Buckley. Again, thanks for hanging out with us today, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.